I was working as an investment manager at the Prudential. At the Prudential that time, Prudential Insurance Company at that time was probably the biggest investor in the UK market. We had about 5% of the whole market. So our job was to just see whether we should be overweight or underweight in any share. It wasn't to say whether we should buy something or not buy something. But as a research analyst, that was very good experience. And my first brush with anything what we would call today unconventional finance was when we were approached by two institutions. One was the church commissioners. The church commissioners, as you know, they manage the church's portfolio, which is quite a substantial portfolio, and the income from that portfolio is used for paying the salaries of the clergy. But they came and they said to us that we have a problem. Here we have our poor clergy, pastors and so on, preaching from the pulpit that gambling and alcohol and things is harmful, is sinful. And when they look at it, they find that their salary is coming for investments in these shares. So there's a disconnect there. So I said, can we somehow screen out those stocks from these, which is fine. What will happen to the return? Conventional portfolio theory at that time was quite straightforward. If you reduce the investable universe, you reduce diversification, and therefore you compromise return, full stop. So out of the five of us, two of us, not me, they said, sorry guys, go away. We don't want to compromise our returns. Three of us let our hearts rule over our heads and said, let's give it a go. And at the same time, we had an approach from a group called Friends Provident, which was an investment arm of a Quaker society. So they were also looking more ethical rather than sin stocks. But similar idea, whether reducing the universe will compromise return or not. In those days, it was very much an act of faith on our part. It wasn't, theoretically, we were quite frightened. Today, I can tell you that it is the reverse, which is fine. We'll come back to that later. So now, while there was not Islamic finance, there was a beginning of a social conscience developing in me. Out of the blue, 1975, I get a call from Professor Khurshid Ahmed. He said, do you want to go to Makkah? I said, for what? He said, there is going to be the first Islamic finance conference in the world. This was initiated by the late King Faisal. Now, unfortunately, he was assassinated in 75, so the conference was postponed to 76. So I told Professor Khurshid, yeah, I will go to Makkah, at least I can make Umrah, and then all the rest we will see what happens. As it happened, they had collected or gathered probably 200 plus of the leading economists from different Muslim countries to debate this question, what to do. And obviously I was not engaged in the debate. I was a young economist and an investment manager, knowing nothing about Islamic finance. But it was a very, very quick education. And clearly, later on, a lot of people have leveled this accusation that you don't know economics and you're just talking about narrow banking and so on. I disagree. I think that conference we discussed that without changing the economies of countries, we cannot have Islamic finance. However, changing the economies means changing politics, which is a task which is not for these 200 people in this room to do. Can we do something under the radar like Islamic banking, which will then filter up to influence attitudes. So that was the idea. Following that, you had the setting up of the first few Islamic banks, Faisal Islamic Bank, Al Baraka Bank, Dubai Islamic Bank, in the Sudan and here, there, everywhere. People started to take that idea seriously. So that's how I came to it, indirectly and tangentially.